Well, here we go. It is the month of March, and the sports world is heating up. This coming week starts NFL free agency, although based off a couple of things that we saw on Wednesday, it already seems like it's in full-fledged gear already. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to break down NFL free agency in depth. I got a few things to say about the world of basketball. We'll talk some baseball and hockey, a little bit of everything going on. But guys, you know what's up. It's Wednesday night. It's 6 p.m. Eastern, and we are live. Welcome everybody back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I am your party host, K99 of their Wednesday night weekly extravaganza. So I'm glad everybody is here tonight because we got a whole lot to talk about with NFL free agency coming up. We're going to break it down position by position, player by player, giving a little extra attention to those positions where I think the Jets could use a little bit of an upgrade. I can hear you saying now, K99, where don't they need an upgrade? Well, there are a few places, but we're going to get into all of that tonight. But first, I want to say a few hellos to some folks who are in the chat. I did see earlier that, we have one friend, but okay, we have one friend, but she's watching from a distance. Actually, we got two friends who are watching from a distance, but may not be able to participate in the chat tonight for a while. So I say a quick hello to them. Oh, yeah, Sharon McLean, I know, is watching. I know you'll be ready to go for the trivia tonight. Harlan Abraham, what's up? That's right. The Wick chair is right in this place. It is in the K99 studio apartment. And we're going to make sure that it stays safe and it stays protected. Yeah, we had a hurricane and even a little bit. Actually, had some tornadoes come through the Raleigh-Durham area today, but no, everything's pretty good. It was gone about an hour, and no real concerns in our neck of the woods. Scott Foster, how you doing? There we go. That's right. I would say in some places they need a lot more than a little bit of an upgrade. Absolutely, and that's why we started breaking positions down over the last 2 weeks, because there are positions you want them to address in the draft, but there's some that you really want to go after in free agency. And just like with the draft, some positions are deeper than others. So you can't just go out and be like, well, let's go get our starting quarterback in free agency. Hey, I mean, you can be shopping for filet mignon, but if you're shopping in the dollar store, it's pretty hard to find. You know what I'm talking about? The goatee is on point. Well, thank you very much. Yes, there's just keep it trim, a little bit of beard oil, and it's working pretty well. So I appreciate that. All right, let's get right into the content tonight because I got a lot to talk about. Pretty much every week I have a lot to talk about. But what's on my mind? Well, let's talk about what's going on in a little bit of what we like to call 3 and out. So the first thing I'm going to mention is the New York Knicks, a disappointing loss on Tuesday to the Golden State Warriors in Madison Square Garden. I'm not getting crazy about this, all right? The Knicks didn't have Karl Anthony Towns for the game. Some personal issues going on with him and his significant other. One of their family members is battling cancer. But here's the thing with the Knicks. This was the first time that the Knicks lost to a team not named Boston or Cleveland since February 1st. They went over a month only losing to the two best teams in the Eastern Conference. The bottom line is this. The NBA season has 6 more weeks to go. The Knicks are going to be the 3 seed. They're all but locked up into that spot. What matters is get to the playoffs healthy. That's all that matters between now and mid-April. And then you go to work from there. I want to spend a minute here on the NHL. Rangers have a huge game against the Washington Capitals, the best team in all of the NHL. Rangers been on a bit of a hot streak as of late, won 3 straight games. not against the best opponents in the world, but as of right now, as of this moment, the Rangers would have the second wild card spot in the Eastern Conference and would face Washington in the first round of the playoffs, just like last year, except the roles would be reversed. Last year, the Rangers won the President's Trophy. This year, Washington is on pace to win the President's Trophy. Very, very weird how these things work out sometimes. So it's a big test for Washington, and I made for the Rangers against Washington. And I made a video about this Tuesday morning that I need to see over these next 3 games. Rangers got Washington, then they go to Ottawa, and then they host Columbus on Sunday. So back-to-back games there against 2 teams that are running right with them for that wild card chase. I need 2 regulation wins at the least in these next 3 games. If they can't beat Washington tonight, that's not the biggest deal in the world, but come back with 2 straight regulation wins against Columbus and Ottawa. 2 teams that are, because remember, regulation wins are the first tiebreaker if you finish tied in points in the standings. But I actually want to spend a little more time than I usually would on the New Jersey Devils because this team is in a crisis point. They've still got the 3rd seed in the Metro Division as of right now, but Jack Hughes, it was just confirmed in the last hour and a half, his shoulder injury will force him out for the rest of the season. Not the regular season, playoffs included. The hope is he'll be back ready to go next September. So the Devils have lost their best players, and the team they've been struggling anyway. They've been treading water, alternating wins and losses in 12 straight games. Now they've lost 2 straight, and that loss, if you didn't see that game last night, they lose to Dallas, overcome a 2-goal deficit, but then they give up the game-winning goal with 3.4 seconds left on the clock. I'm sorry. Teams that have something special in them don't give up goals like that. The mojo is not good with them right now. Now on Friday night, they host Winnipeg, not exactly an easy situation. They're 4 points up on Columbus, 6 up on the Rangers and the Red Wings. This team is in a lot of trouble going forward. And let's spend 1 minute here on baseball. And, Jose Iglesias, oh, my God. Those are the only words I know. I didn't get very far with Spanish in school when I was growing up. But Jose Iglesias signs a minor league contract with the San Diego Padres. Why didn't the Yankees sign him? I didn't say the Mets. He made a lot of sense for the Yankees, I think. The Yankees need contact hitters. They got a lot of right-handed power, but they have been bad against left-handed pitching. They need a third baseman. DJ LeMahieu is hurt again. What a surprise. He gets hurt about as often as Mitchell Robinson. I know Iglesias is not a traditional leadoff hitter, but he batted second a bunch for the Mets last year, gets on base, he hits well, great vibes. Now he goes to San Diego on a minor league deal, and I really think that the Yankees missed out on signing him. I still think that they will win in the low 90s, 93, 94 games, something like that. And I still think the Yankees are the favorite to win the AL East, and I only say that because the rest of the American League is really that bad. But I think 8 days the Major League Baseball season starts, the Japan series? That is like way, 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 way too soon. I got to do some fantasy baseball research. I am not ready right now at all. All right, so yeah, that's so let's go ahead and remove the 3 and out. And I think I'm gonna, we know what we got to do. I think we got to switch the color scheme from blue to green. There it is, everybody. Everybody, come on, just muster it up if you can. Let me hear you. Jets, Jets, and it seems like the news is starting to trickle out, not just from Foreign Park, but all over the league. Players re-signing with their old teams. Players announced that are seeking trades. Players who are going to get cut. Well, the Jets released a player of their own, namely Davante Adams. I don't think too many people are going to be very surprised by this. The one disappointment I do have is that the San Francisco was able to trade Deebo Samuel and get a draft pick back. So in a way, it's a little bit annoying that the Jets couldn't get Davante Adams back. But when you look at the contract, to an extent, I can understand why. So they let him go. Adams had 67 catches, 854 yards, 7 touchdowns in 11 games with the Jets. You can't say he wasn't a productive Jet, but to give up a third-round pick for 11 games when you didn't, even come close to the playoffs, it is a blow. it's most definitely this. I'm not saying it was a bad trade. It's just like I wish we could have made that trade just a couple of weeks sooner, and maybe the world will be a little bit different, and certain people would still be employed who are no longer employed. So Davante Adams, we're going to salute you the way that we do right here on the New York Sports WickerMedia channel. We thank you for your service, but as we all say, he gone. So Davante Adams, onward and upward to the West Coast. You most likely go. Please just do not side with New England or anything like that. All right, because they got some cap space to work with. So Davante Adams leaving will leave the Jets, no doubt, with a huge, huge hole in the receiving department. So multiple receivers will have to be addressed. Now, we look at on a couple keys here. With that release, the Jets have $52 million in cap space. They are ninth in cap space as of right now. So they went from 22nd or 23rd to 9th quite quickly. Free agent negotiations reportedly begin on March 10th, 5 days away. And a week from today, signings will become official. So next Wednesday is going to be fun. I'm going to guess that we're going to have a night where we're breaking some news live because that first day of free agency, that second day of free agency, they're always pretty crazy. But now we remember when Joe Douglas was general manager, the Jets rarely dove into that first tier of free agency. It was more about volume, hitting on the second tier. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But, what are you going to expect in free agency? So we'll see what Darren Muji does. I don't expect him to be overly aggressive for any one player, but we will see. Hopefully the Jets will have some news on Wednesday that will make us as fans very, very excited. Tony Alexio, channel member, is here. How you doing, my friend? Chris Trevler is available, so he is out there. That's right. Tony, I'm glad you're here. Hope you're having a good week. The great Billy SBC, how are you doing? Just when I thought that I was out, they pulled me back in. That's it. That's how it goes, man. Yeah. So here's the thing that bugs me a little bit. What I don't need to see are these people who are saying, who are we going to throw the ball to next year? Who are we going to throw the ball to? Can't we at least have an off season before we start asking these kinds of roster questions? Let's just get them. Let's get through free agency. Let's get through the draft and then see what happens, or at least through free agency, and we have a better idea of what we need to do in the draft. All right. So, yeah, maybe the Jets will bring back Strevler. They might bring back the Martinez package. You know what? It would work out about as well as it did because Martinez, again, he's got legs. He could run, but if he can't throw the football very accurately, my hopes aren't very high. And I remember a couple of bad misses in that preseason last year because I'm sorry, you can't teach accuracy. Not in my opinion, it's just not something that happens. So we go to a couple. Let's go to a couple. Yeah. So this is the cap space. Hopefully everybody can see that pretty well. I think I'm gonna kind of make myself. I'm gonna drop down a little bit. So the Patriots, 127 million. Now this is as of a day ago. So a few things may be changing, but the Patriots, 127 million in cap space. The effective cap space to the right of that is after you factor in the draft class numbers. So the Patriots, $30 million ahead of the Raiders. The Bears are at $79 million, although with some of these trades they're making for offensive linemen, Joe Thuney, Jonah Jackson, that cap space is going to come down a little bit. Arizona at 78, the Chargers at 66, the Commanders at 64, Vikings at 62, the Steelers actually at 59, amazingly enough, and the Jets right there at 52. Pretty amazing. The Lions have $51 million to work with. Wow. Talk about running an organization well. So that's what we're looking at there with the cap space numbers. These are a couple of dead cap hits that we need to look at. So the Davante Adams cap hit is $8.3 million. I will mention with Aaron Rodgers, the expected hit is an even $14 million. The Jets have 2 post-June 1st cuts that they can use. Okay? So you can only use 2 of those. Rodgers will almost certainly be 1. And so that opens up $9.5 million immediately for the Jets to spend. So it does leave the 14 even million cap hit. All right, so Adams is released now, so they eat $8.3 million, but they have opened up $29.8 million of cap space right now. So that's why that cap space went up so much, is the Devontae Adams situation. Also, before I get into the rest of the players, Alan Lazard. Here's the situation with Lazard. If the Jets cut or trade, I couldn't even get through that without laughing myself. If the Jets cut him before June 1st, they will eat $6.5 million in dead cap space, and they save $6.6 million. All right. Now, if they do it post June 1st, the dead cap is spread. They would eat only $2.1 million this year, and they save $11 million. The problem is you don't get that $11 million until June. That's going to hurt your impact in free agency. All right. So would you rather have the $6.5 million right now or the $11 million later? I would believe that they would cut him in the next couple of days. If Alan Lazard is still a Jet by the end of this weekend, I will be very, very surprised. And I fully expect that to be a cut. So outside of that, these are some other cap hits the Jets will likely take on. Tyler Conklin, $5.9 million. And with the tight end situation, you know what? I've said that this needs to be overhauled, this tight end room. If you just look at the blocking situation, Conklin ranked 68th out of 73 in run blocking for tight ends. Jeremy Ruckert, the immortal Jeremy Ruckert, 39.0 blocking grade, 72 out of 73. So a lot of people talk about why were the Jets not running well? Why does the Jets run game struggle so much? A lot of it is on the tight ends, not as much the offensive line. When there are 73 tight ends in the league who qualify, and your two starters finish 68 and 72 out of the 73, no wonder you stink. And one thing we know about this Detroit offense with Tanner Engstrand, he likes blocking tight ends. I expect the Jets to go heavy on tight end. That's why I still right now, if you had to ask me, who do you think is the Jets' first-round pick? My first thought right now is Tyler Warren. I think he's very likely to be there at 7. I can see a Mason Graham getting taken. I don't expect the Jets to trade up for a quarterback. I think Tyler Warren, with his ability to both catch the ball, block, his athletic ability, I think he fits very well for this offense. And then the Jets still need to bring in a tight end or two in free agency. More on that later. All right, so then Mike Williams, they got to pay him $5.8 million as he hits the open market. DJ Reed, $4.6 million. Javon Kinlaw, $4.4 million. Wes Schweitzer, $900,000. Solomon Thomas, $376,000. Izzy Abanikanda, amazing, $168,000. So a little over $30 million before you factor in the expected $14 million from Aaron Rodgers. And at that point, it's close to $45 million. Okay? So we're looking at about $45 million in dead cap, but it would all be gone after this season. Except for Aaron Rodgers, because we know we got to take a $35 million hit next season. That's going to hurt a little bit. And I think that's one reason, because of that cap hit. Expect the Jets to do a lot of one-year deals or deals where they can get out, where it's a uploaded, a front-loaded deal, because that next year is going to hurt a little bit. All right. So we'll get into some free agency targets here. And we're going to break this down position by position. I'm going to give you some thoughts on some players who I think make sense, some who may not make as much sense. And hey, if you got any thoughts, you got any questions about them, put it right down there in the chat. Makes it a whole lot more fun when we can kind of go back and forth on this. And don't be afraid. I don't bite. And even if I do, I've already had my shot. Okay, quarterbacks. First one I'm going to mention here, that's Tyrod Taylor. But first, we'll talk about Justin Fields. Now, Justin Fields, if I had to opt for a free agent quarterback right now, it's probably him. Right now, Daniel Jones, I don't know if he's quite a free agent. It's kind of a weird situation with him. Fields and Jones, I would be good with either one of them. Now, we've talked about Jones before. I still think he still has a very good running ability. I like that he had a little bit of time to sit and be there in Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell. I think that's going to be very valuable for Daniel Jones. But with Justin Fields, the Steelers coached him very well. They had him make quick decisions in the offense. The whole idea was to get the ball out of his hand quickly as possible. Harlan is a very smart man. Come on, people, hit the like button. That's right. I would like to do the wheel tonight, guys. We haven't done a full wheel in 2 or 3 weeks, but we can only do that if you give us those 15 likes. You got to get the word out. And, if everybody here has done it, hey, share the link with a friend, with an enemy, with a Jet fan, a family member, your landlord, your banker, your real estate agent, whoever it might be. So a couple of notes about Fields, and here's why I'm a little bit encouraged about him. With the Steelers, his interception percentage dropped from 2.4 in 2023 to 0.6 in 2024. He had the highest completion percentage, 65.8, and quarterback rating, 93.3 of his career. His sack percentage has dropped. He's showing improvement, and it goes to show what good quality coaching does for a player. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. If Lamar Jackson had been drafted by the Jets, he would be out of the league right now. The Ravens knew how to develop him, how to coach him, and bring in an offense that suited his strengths. Pittsburgh's doing the same thing. Are the Jets smart enough to do that? We don't know that because we got a whole new staff at this point. But again, the best coaches can work with the strengths of their players. They don't make the players come over to their strengths. And I can give you countless examples of Jet coaches through the years, great players we lost because of scheme fits, and things like that. James Ferrier, Jonathan Vilma, on and on we could go. Unleash the Wicker package. The world is not ready for that. Hey, Nate, how you doing? Channel member as well. Hope you're doing great. Hope it's a happy hump day for you. All right, so Justin Fields, I feel pretty good at. If we've got to go to a lower level, because again, the Jets are not going to splurge at every position. Maybe one or two splashes, but let's be honest, it's going to be a bunch of little ripples. That's what I expect. When you have 20 or so free agents, you have a lot of roster spots to fill. I would be okay with Cooper Rush on a one-year deal. Now, this year he threw 12 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. He's been with the Cowboys forever, but the fact that they've changed coaches, I wonder if he would look elsewhere. And you compare him with a rookie along with Tyrod Taylor, I wouldn't mind doing that for 1 year. I would be okay with Cooper Rush for 1 year. He's not going to cost a whole lot of money either. And then kind of an intriguing, I think a few Jet fans are going to mention this name because he is now going to be available. This news came out today. But Gardner Minshew is going to be released by the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I think Gardner Minshew has a little bit of a cult following. I think it's mostly because of this, because of the stash. But at the end of the day, it's certain stats look good, certain stats look terrible. In 46 career starts, he has a record of 17 wins and 29 losses. Yuck. But we know he can run the ball. He doesn't turn the ball over. 68 touchdowns, 24 interceptions, about 202 yards per game, and 88.5 career passer rating. Not bad. I think Minshew's going to try to go to a scenario where he could start. I wouldn't expect him to go to the Jets. If Aaron Glenn is looking for a quarterback whose qualities are first quality is winning, I don't know if I'm taking a quarterback whose career record is 12 games under 500. So I'm not the biggest Minshew guy myself. I see here Harlan isn't either, but I know some people are big Minshew fans. So I wanted to address him. Swig of water for the working man and woman. All right, let's give a couple wide receivers. I don't think there's really any need to talk about the running back situation at this point. And I chose this picture of Garrett Wilson because he's just out there looking. Where has everybody gone? Oh, my God. It's the pain is real, isn't it? All right, so one player, I don't think, first of all, the Jets are going to be shopping in the upper tier here. Chris Godwin, he's going to be the biggest receiver in command. I don't think it makes sense. Amari Cooper, same thing. He ain't coming here. DeAndre Hopkins, Stephon Diggs, they're old and declining. Hollywood Brown, I don't see him coming here. Deontay Johnson is a head case. Mike Williams, we've been there, done that. Does anybody actually want a reunion with Elijah Moore or Braxton Berrios? Yeah, I didn't think so. I see a question here in the chat. What is Justin Fields' career record? It is 14-30. I will say this: his first 2 years he was 5-20. So in the last 2 years he's 9-10. So the last 2 years he's only been one game under 500. So again, his record is showing signs of improvement as well. He has become a better quarterback in the last 2 years. Can't deny that. So what I'm looking for, one thing I really need is a field stretcher. the Jets don't have that. As good as Garrett Wilson is, he's not a speed burner down the field. So I think one player that would make a lot of sense here is Darius Slayton. He just turned 28 years old, although I don't know about you. I feel like he's been around a lot longer, But now that you have Malik Neighbors in New York, that dropped him to 39 catches and 2 touchdowns in 2024. But he's averaging 15 yards per catch. He can still get downfield. And if you're looking at him as sort of like that third receiver, I think Slayton would make a lot of sense here with this team. Plus, he already knows the market. Maybe he's willing to come over, but I think Slayton is pretty much done with the Giants. Yeah, but again, the only problem with this is a lot of these receivers are going to go to teams that have quarterback situations figured out. The first question all these receivers are going to be asking the Jets should be, what are we going to be doing at quarterback? Who's my quarterback? Who's throwing the ball to me? Who's going to feed me? Jets better have some ideas. They better have some answers ready. Now, the next two I'm going to mention are receivers who have been linked to the Jets already. Josh Palmer of the Chargers, only 25 years old, averaged 15 yards a catch the last 2 years. Now, in 4 years, he has 182 catches, 2,287 yards, so about 550 yards a season. He has 10 touchdowns in 58 games. So, again, this is another option for a downfield threat. I don't think he's reached his ceiling yet. And I don't think he's going to be very expensive either. The one I would probably bet on coming here, if I had to bet on one free agent, it's Tim Patrick. Now, there's no other free agent that I could find that both Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn have worked with together. Because Tim Patrick was with Denver with Muji, and then he went to Detroit with Glenn. That's important to know. He'll be cheap. He's a good leader. He was a practice squad pickup by Denver in 2017. Emerged as a good starter 2020, 2021, but then he had some injury issues as a torn ACL and a torn Achilles, but he did come back in 2024. Played 16 games with the Lions, a very good complementary target to Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, and Sam Laporta. On 44 targets, he had 33 catches, 394 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So this would be your depth player, but if you're looking for somebody to sort of bring Malachi Corley along, if you're trying to make sure that his head is in the right place, then you want to bring in somebody with a little bit of experience and maybe has fought through, has had to overcome some adversity. I think Tim Patrick makes a lot of sense for the Jets. Harlan, Jets need some receivers who can block. That'd be a good idea. But I think the tight ends that can block is what I would really like to. Hey, you want a wide receiver that can block? Let's bring back Corey Davis. He can always block, right? But Patrick, he's 6'4". He's 212 pounds. He's got a big catch radius. His hands are reliable. Over his last 4 years, he has a drop rate of 3.8% and no drops in 2024. And I swear to you, how many big drops did we see this offense have? Whether it was Brees with his 9 drops, whether it was the tight ends, certain wide receiver, Alan Lazard. Oh my God. His favorite candy bar must be Butterfinger. Yeah, Tony, I kind of adopted that from your chat there. Hope you don't mind. So I do like the idea of Tim Patrick on this team. I think it makes sense. I think he's going to be a target. Now, another player I want to mention is Christian Kirk of the Jacksonville Jaguars. News came out today. He will be released. 28 years old, played only 8 games this year because he broke his collarbone late October. He had 1 year left on a 4-year, $72 million contract. So I think Christian Kirk should come pretty reasonably. All right, then let's talk about 2 other receivers really quick from Seattle. Tyler Lockett was cut by Seattle. I really don't think I think to me it's very apparent. If he's going anywhere, it's the Raiders. Pete Carroll's there. They got the cap space. I think Tyler Lockett makes all the sense in the world to Las Vegas. And as far as DK Metcalf goes, well, he wants to be traded. The Seahawks will explore options. He has 1 year left on his deal. Seattle saves $10 million if they trade him. I can't think of a single team that wouldn't want him there. Metcalf is an amazing player. The 2 teams that right now I'm hearing are in tightest on him are New England and Green Bay. So please, God, Green Bay. Amen. So, but again, 1 year, and I got a feeling if Metcalf gets traded, he's going to want a new contract, but we'll see how that ends up going. So the DK Metcalf domino will be a big one to fall. Now, the tight end position, we talked about this a little bit 2 weeks ago. We talked more about the tight ends who will be available in the draft. I do want to spend a little bit more time on the free agency class. And I got to be honest, it's not an inspiring group of free agents really at all. I like the draft class more than I do the free agents. So first, of course, is Juwan Johnson from New Orleans. This is like being I've used the analogy. It's like being the thinnest one at a Weight Watchers convention. Okay. When everybody else is that and you're that, it's like, okay, by comparison, not too bad. But he led the Saints with 548 receiving yards last year, 28 career starts, 129 catches. He's going to be a better receiving tight end than blocking tight end. Okay. So if you're going to bring him in, you better bring in somebody who can block to pair with him. The Saints, as always, are right up against the cap. And I think he's going to make about $10, $11 million a year. Maybe he reunites with Sean Payton in Denver. But if you pair him, so I'm going to give you I'm going to come back to another tight end who I think I would pair with him, and then I could get excited. Let's talk about Mike Gesicki. Now, I am not a big Gesicki guy at this point. He had two kind of down years in 2022 and 2023. 2024 with the Bengals, he did okay. 65 catches, 665 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Then again, when you have Joe Burrow throwing you the football, it makes your life a lot easier. Now, the Bengals are keeping T. Higgins. So because of that, I think it's more likely Gesicki will go. I can't say I'm overly excited about him. I still look at him as pretty much a Travis Kelce wannabe. Not a whole lot of blocking ability, but some receiving ability. But I look at some of the other tight ends out there. Zach Ertz is 34. Austin Hooper is 30. It's not that exciting. But if you pair one of these two tight ends with this next guy, you got my attention. Michael Mayer. Now, I'm putting the question marks there because he's not a free agent, but the Raiders, from what sources are saying, are very open to trading him. Now, Mayer is 23 years old, very, very young. Drafted 35th in 2023. Now, his receiving numbers aren't going to excite you. 460 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns, 48 catches, but he is 6'4". He's 265 pounds. He's your classic inline tight end who can block as well as anybody. If the Jets trade for him, he costs just $1.6 million on the cap for this year and $2 million for 2026. So he was drafted in the second round. 2 years are already gone. You might be able to get him for, a 4th round pick, maybe a 5th round pick. And his run blocking score was 65.0. That graded him 13th in the NFL this season. And I've already told you, so he was 13th, Conklin was 68, and Ruckert was 72. So if you make the trade for Mayer and you give me Gesicki or Johnson, okay, I can get behind that a little bit because I still think Mayer has some upside that has not been seen yet. Hey, Matthew Smith, how you doing? He wants to trade up for Cam Ward, so he wants to go all in. He's a believer in Cam Ward. Well, we're going to talk about quarterbacks a little bit more as the weeks go on. But you know what? If you do that, you better love him. You don't trade up for a quarterback just because you need to fill the position, because we've seen enough times. If you miss on a quarterback like that, it sets you back years. And then if you trade up for the quarterback and he fails, oh my God. Woo! Yeah, you have shot yourself in the foot for years and years and years. In other words, you stay right where we are. Trade Ruckert for him. Yeah, I wish. If only it was that easy. So then we go to the offensive tackle class because the Jets do have a need at right tackle. Harlan giving his thoughts on Michael Mayer. He could block, don't want to give up assets, no more than 1 4th round or a 5th round for Mayer. Yeah, I mean, if we give up a 4th and maybe get a 6th round and Mayer back, I would be all good with that. Yeah, something like that I think would be a very fair trade. So, but yeah, I mean, if the Raiders aren't going to use him because of Brock Bowers, hey, we will. Ruckert is a homegrown Long Island native. Really? I had no idea he was from Long Island. I've never heard anybody mention that before. Extend Ruckert to 4 years, $40 million. Yeah, is the United Football League taking deals right now? Oh, my God. But yeah, so the tight end class, not great. The offensive tackle class is miserable. So I got Olu highlighted here because right now we got to find out who's going to be playing on the opposite side of him. And when you look at this tackle class, most of them are left tackles. Ronnie Stanley, Cam Robinson, Dan Moore. As a matter of fact, the highest paid right tackle from last season, who's a free agent now, is actually Morgan Moses at $5 million a year. Who would have believed it? And news actually did come out about him earlier this afternoon. He played last season with a grade 2 MCL injury, and he is now healthy. He got a full, clean bill of health from the Jets. So after Morgan Moses, outside of that, it's Trenton Brown, it's George Fant, it's David Quessenberry. Is anybody actually excited about these names? Because I'm not, okay? I'll give you, and this is where the lack of development of Carter Warren and Max Mitchell has really, really hurt. And again, I put most of that on the coaching staff and, the scouting department as well. But the coaching staff didn't bring these guys along. I'll give you one option that's a little crazy. It's a little bit out of left field, but just give it a chance. What if the Jets signed Jedrick Wills from the Browns and put him back at right tackle where he played in college and became a top draft pick because of it? The Browns have used him at left tackle. It has not worked out. I think if you put him back at right tackle and you give him some good coaching, that could possibly work out. I'll tell you this. I know what Trent Brown is. I know what George Fant is. If you don't want to do that, to be honest with you, I bring Moses back because I don't want to be in a position where the Jets have to draft an offensive tackle with one of their first 2 picks next year. From what you hear about Will Campbell at the combine, he's got these short arms that aren't ideal length for a tackle. I don't know if I love having to start a rookie right tackle right away. So to me, I would like to bring back Moses, or if I want to get a little adventurous, I take a chance on Jedrick Wills Jr. Crazy, I know, or maybe there's a trade to be made. I don't know, but that's a position that does. We're all going to be thinking about wide receiver, things like that, cornerback too after DJ goes, that type of stuff. Obviously, the quarterback situation, but don't forget right tackle because there aren't many options there. Now we look at defensive tackle, and once again, I had to put Quinn Williams there, and I had to put him there by myself. That I think the caption basically says, "Shit, my guy's gone again." It's just a revolving door in and out at that defensive tackle spot right next to Quinn Williams. So who can they get? Yeah, Campbell will be a guard in the NFL. Yep, I think he will be as well. Needs to draft 2 tackles. I would say need to draft. You better bring in 1, okay? But I would like to have more than Warren and Mitchell. That's for sure. Even if you bring in like an undrafted free agent somewhere, that's fine. But I don't know about drafting 2. But you better bring in some depth. Okay. So defensive tackles, there are some pretty good options out there. One of them is Milton Williams from the Eagles. He's going to get paid very well. I don't know if he's going to be quite the right fit for what we want because we really want a run stopper. He's not great at that. You're bringing him in for his quickness and his pass rushing ability. But he was PFF's 6th graded pass rusher in 2024, which is pretty amazing because he only had 5 sacks in the regular season and played under 50% of the snaps. All right, had 5 sacks during the regular season, but he flashed big time in the playoffs and the Super Bowl, 26 years old. And with Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter in front of him, he's leaving Philly. He's ready to make some change, okay? Harlan wants to shuffle the deck, maybe get a center, move Joe Tippmann to guard, AVT to tackle. Harlan, my thought is this. I don't mind moving Tippmann to guard, but I don't want to move AVT anymore. He got through the season healthy, even though, he was banged up for a little bit. I don't want to be moving AVT anymore. And if I do, it's between the 2 guard positions. I'm not really interested in moving him outside at this point. I think he works best as a guard. I want to leave him there. But Campbell at center, Matthew? Okay. I haven't really looked too much at the center position just because I don't think they're going to be moving Tippmann. But, I think you're playing with a little bit of fire there. A little bit of fire. But that's what if that's what the coaching staff believes would work, then hey, we'll go with it. B.J. Hill. Okay. This is a 30-year-old interior defender. Teams love having him in their rotation. He started 48 games in 3 years for Cincinnati, formerly a New York Giant. He's had at least 50 tackles in 4 straight years. That's very good for an interior lineman. He's not going to give you a ton of pass rush, but he's very, very good against the run. Now, the Bengals don't give – I'd be surprised if the Bengals kept him. And you might think, well, Lou Anarumo is former defensive coordinators in Indianapolis. Well, Indy's got a pretty loaded interior defensive line with DeForest Buckner. Grover Stewart is there as well. I don't know if there's really a fit there for B.J. Hill. So I think that's somebody – he's a bit of a toss-up. I could see him going to a whole plethora of teams. Billy, Morgan Moses is 34 with a knee fracture and meniscus tear. He's a fair to good player. Would have to weigh bringing him back. Billy, I hear you, man, but with some of these other options that are out there, I don't feel very good about those. I really don't. I don't want to. I have no interest in bringing George Fant back. I really don't. It's one of those things where you almost need to take a chance. You almost need to. But we know this. We can't go in with Carter Warren or Max Mitchell starting at right tackle for us. We know that. But again, this draft is very weak on offensive tackle, and free agency is also very weak at right tackle. So maybe there is a left tackle you could bring in, move him over to the right side. Maybe you could do that, but your options are limited, so it's something you're going to have to address quickly. Okay, now I'm going to mention 2 guys that I have mentioned wanting in the past on this team. It's never quite worked out, but I'm going to try this again. Number 1 is DJ Jones. When San Francisco was going to let him go, I thought it'd be a perfect fit for Robert Saleh and his defense. He's a very good run player. He can push the pocket. He doesn't wow a lot of people, but he's that workman, lunch pail type defensive tackle. He gets the job done and frees up opportunity for the other players around him. So DJ Jones is somebody I would like for them to bring in. And another one, I feel like I should be this next guy's agent, is Poona Ford. I wanted this guy 2 years ago too. 29 years old, very, very quick. He was with the Chargers last year, and he started every game after signing a 1-year prove-it deal. Now, he's only 5'11", but PFF ranked him as the number 5 interior defensive lineman in the whole league. Only had 3 sacks, but he pushes the pocket with his quickness, did a good job against the run, and he disrupts quarterbacks. So Poona Ford, at 29 years old, I think you could get him for maybe 3 years. And I would like to have a little bit of stability next to Quinnen Williams at this point. Want to bring somebody else in, to rotate with him, to push him for a spot? No problem. But I think Ford would be a good, reliable veteran that this team has really liked. We've had veterans, just not necessarily good ones, and not healthy ones either. So I happen to like Ford quite a bit. And I think we also need to look at edge rusher. We got JJ and we got Will, as you can see here. I expect Michael Clements to be gone with the escalator in his contract. You cannot justify paying this guy $3.3 million this year. Not a chance. So at this point, and sure, we have a couple of the kids. Braden McGregor is there. Eric Watts is still there. But you can't really count on them. I can see the Jets looking to bring in some type of edge rusher. I don't know if they're going to pay, if they're going to go top level, but I do want to mention a few names, sort of like reclamation projects, who I think could be pretty interesting. Chase Young. Now, when he's healthy, he's got a ton of upside. Some people think he's going to take a 1-year prove-it deal. Some people think he'll get multiple years. Well, last year with the Saints, he had 5.5 sacks. This is a tough one to gauge the market on. Does somebody really believe that he's all the way back? Are they going to pay him big? I don't know. I could see him getting $6-7 million a year. I could see him getting $15 million a year. But I would at least inquire on Chase Young if I'm Darren Mushi. Malcolm Kuntz it's Kuntz with a C in there. So he suffered a knee injury before the 2024 season. He's played his career with the Raiders. Now, he was really flashing in 2023. He had 8 sacks. And the Raiders were very excited to have him and Max Crosby as their bookend edge rushers. Of course, Crosby just signed his huge new contract today, so congratulations to him. But now Kuntz is back and healthy, 26 years old, young and growing. So Malcolm Kuntz Let's see where he goes. And I'm going to mention Azeez Ojulari of the Giants. I think he's a pretty underrated situational edge rusher. He had 6 sacks in just 11 games last year. He's got 22 sacks in his career. We know he's got the speed and the agility and the moveset to get to the quarterback. The issue is staying on the field. He hasn't played a full season since his rookie year when he had 8 sacks. He missed 22 of 51 games in 3 years since. And currently he's rehabbing a torn ligament in his toe. So if you want to give him a 1-year prove-it deal, incentive laden, based off games played, sacks recorded, I think Ojulari would make some sense. Who's coming over from Detroit? My first thought would be Tim Patrick, who we talked about a little bit earlier. But if we look at, I'm going to just quickly mention, I'm just going to quickly look at the Lions, the full list of the Detroit Lions free agents here. I'm just pulling this up on another screen here. Teddy Bridgewater, no. Tim Patrick, yes. Allen Robinson, the wide receiver, who knew he was still in the league. Kevin Zeitler, he's a guard. I don't think the Jets are bringing any guards. Nate Moody, also a guard. I don't see it. Marcus Davenport, he dealt with injuries last year at edge rusher. El Quadin Muhammad, also an edge rusher. Got a few defensive linemen in John Kaminsky, Jonah Williams, Pat O'Connor, Levi Amuzurike. I can't get his name right, but linebacker, you have Derek Barnes. Derek Barnes interested. Okay. And there's 1 or 2 more that I'm going to mention in a little bit. I don't see a ton of these guys coming over, but I think there might be a couple of like underground guys that we don't know. Sort of like, do you remember when Rex Ryan came over and he brought in 3 Baltimore players? He brought in Bart Scott, Jim Leonard, and Marquez Douglas at defensive end. I think we could see 1 or 2 Marquez Douglas type players coming in, but I think Tim Patrick is going to come over. And I could see 1 more who I'm going to get to in just a couple of minutes here. All right, so Azeez Ojulari. Let's go to linebackers. If anybody was thinking about Zach Bond, forget about it. He just signed for 3 years, $51 million in Philadelphia. Congratulations to him. Former special teamer, and now he's emerged to make $17 million a year. Now, the question is, does that give us an idea of what Jamie Sherwood and others will be looking for in free agency? I don't see Sherwood getting $17 million a year, but is he going to ask for $15 million a year? Or would he settle for $10 million a year and try to get more years out of it? I don't know. Sherwood's going to be a very difficult thing. That's going to be a tough one. San Francisco and Atlanta are going to go after him. With Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich being the respective defensive coordinators. And remember, Dre Greenlaw from the Niners is a free agent linebacker. I know they're already paying Fred Warner. They got Fred Warner, but maybe they want to add Jamie Sherwood there to replace them. And we know Atlanta needs a lot of help on that defense, especially in the front 7. And in the middle. So Sherwood's going to be that's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one to keep. But with $17 million a year, let's see what he asks for. I will mention one linebacker who I think does make sense if Javian leaves, and it's Nick Bolton from the Kansas City Chiefs. He's a very good run player, high football IQ, not great in pass coverage, but he's 25 years old, and he brings that leadership that I think the Jets could really use on that defense. So, and hey, Aaron Glenn wants proven winners. Nick Bolton is definitely a proven winner. All right, let's go to the cornerback position. And right now, the Jets have Sauce Gardner. They have Michael Carter II. They have Quantez Stiggers. So there is probably a spot for maybe 2 cornerback spots being here with both DJ Reed and Brandon Echols hitting the open market. Personally, I would like to see Echols come back. At least he is a playmaker. I'm not saying he should be the starter opposite Sauce, but I definitely think there is a place for him on this team. I have no illusion that DJ Reed is coming back to the Jets. I just don't see it. I could see him going to the Giants, actually. I think the Giants are a very possible landing spot for him. But there are a couple of cornerback. It is a pretty good cornerback market. I really expect the Jets to be aggressive in the secondary in free agency. So let's look at a couple of players. One of them is Byron Murphy from the Vikings. I think this is pushing it a little bit. He's 27 years old, had 6 sacks, 81 tackles in 2024, and the Vikings defense led the NFL in takeaways last year. He went to Minnesota, 2 years, $18 million. I could see him hitting the $20 million mark, a year mark. I think he's probably the top corner in this year's class. So if he's a little bit too expensive, well, where do you go next? And this is, I think, a very good target. Carlton Davis, formerly of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So he's got a little ring on that finger. He's got a ring on that finger, right? And then he was traded to Detroit because he couldn't really stay healthy. And he played very well for the Lions before he went out for the season with a fractured jaw. The great John Boy, what's up, man? I will be in town next weekend, 2 weekends from now, for the Shamrock race. So, yeah, I'll be in town Friday, Saturday, maybe a little bit of Sunday. Who knows? But look forward to coming up, and hopefully we'll have some good weather on the shore. So hope you're having a good night, brother. So Carlton Davis is 28 years old. He was graded as the league's 21st corner by PFF, and that ranked his ranking. That matched his ranking 3 years ago when the Bucs paid him 3 years and $44 million. I could see him getting about the same level of money. Now, the Lions, remember, the Lions used their top 2 picks on cornerbacks last year. They're overhauling the secondary. I don't think Davis is going to stay around, even though they did trade up for him. But I expect a multi-year deal for him. He's a long corner. He matches up in man coverage. I would very much like to have him playing opposite Sauce Gardner. And I think for 3 years, or maybe a 4-year deal, but maybe you can get out of it after 2 years or 3 years, I think that would be a really good target. So I think Carlton Davis, with his familiarity with Aaron Glenn, I would be very, very surprised if that didn't work out. Let me know when you get here. Count on about the middle of the day Friday. I'm willing to bet just I will not be drinking Friday. Saturday, I probably will. Got to be ready for the race on Saturday morning. Philly SBC can even start Moses and draft the right tackle and cover both bases. Yeah. The only question is, where are we going to draft that tackle? We'll break down the offensive tackle class in the coming weeks. And I'll probably be focusing more on some of the mid rounds, but we'll see if there's somebody there that's worth developing, sort of like what the Chiefs are doing with a Kingsley Suamatea. They're trading Joe Thuney to Chicago. They drafted Suamatea, and now the idea is he's going to take that guard spot over. So if that's what happens, I'm all for it. A couple other cornerbacks to look at. Asante Samuel Jr. There you go. So he's 25 years old. He missed most of last year with stinger issues in his neck and shoulders. Now, Samuel has said he wants to stay with the Chargers, but will he take a mid-range multi-year deal, $12 to $14 million, or does he want to take a one-year prove-it deal after 2024 was kind of a lost season for him? Here's another Saints cap casualty. Notice I got a lot of New Orleans Saints on this list, right? Where Aaron Glenn used to be as well. Paulson Adebo. Now, he is only 25. He was limited to 7 games last year. He had a broken femur. By the way, guys, please hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. We're very close to spinning the wheel. We're very close to spinning the wheel. Billy, you're on page 12. I'm only on page 10 here. I'm getting the kick. If any of you know me at all, I will not neglect special teams. I promise you, I will not neglect special teams. All right. Unlike general managers we've had in the distant past. But anyway. So here's the thing. Adebo has 7 picks over the last 2 years. And with Sauce, you really want somebody who can be a bit of a ball hawk. Adebo can be that. He's going to be healthy for training camp. I think he could get second-tier corner money. I think he could get $12 million a year. So, Paulson Adebo, to me, I think a very good target that not many people are talking about. I'll mention Eric Stokes, a very depressed-looking Eric Stokes from Green Bay. 26 years old. He's talented, but he's dealt with a lot of injury issues. This would be a prove-it deal as well. Another guy I'll mention that I'm not too interested in is Travarius Ward from San Francisco. I don't really like the idea. God bless him. Went through some very tumultuous personal issues this year, but he's had issues with some of the Jets players. I got no interest in that. Just like with Kirk Cousins. If you use my team, you talk trash about my team, screw you. Oh, by the way, actually, you know what? I'm gonna get this off the stage for a minute. Jared Allen, for what you said in your press conference, and I don't do this much, but Jared Allen, this is for you. Fuck off. You want to take shots about our team when you're retired? You cowboy hat wearing pussy? Come down to Florham Park and we'll show you what it's like to be a Jet. What do you have against us? What did we ever do to you? Jared Allen, what a prick he is. There, got that out of my system. Okay, on the safeties. So let's see, Tony Alexio, sad news about Morstead. I hope it's false. What's going on here? Jose Quintana, $2 million. Jeez, that's all he got. Are there rumors that Morstead would be cut? I haven't seen anything on Morstead. Zach Rosenblatt in danger of being cut ahead of free agency. Here's the thing though with Morstead. He's a good punter. He's not a great punter, and the Jets do save $2.5 million by letting him go. We all love Morstead. We love how he sticks up for us, but when you look at the numbers, they're very, very pedestrian. So I think might have to move on, even though that hurts. I don't know, Harlan. I don't know if you can blame the special teams. There's so many. Let me ask you this question: Is it in Baltimore? Was it the special teams coach's fault that Justin Tucker was so bad this year that he had the fall off that he did? Kickers are very up and down. They really are like relief pitchers in baseball. You don't know what you're going to get from one year to the next. So, I don't know if you really blame the coach. I just put it on Zerline, really. Or I don't know if he was ever really healthy. Maybe that hip was never really right. So it's just a thought. I don't really kill Boyer, because if you're going to blame Boyer for this year, then you have to give him credit for Zerline the 2 years prior. So it's like, how do you credit? How do you blame? It's kind of a tricky thing here. I've got to plug the computer in. So a couple of safeties, and we talked about the safety position last week, so I'm going to roll through this a little bit faster than I usually would. Javon Holland, I saw ESPN has him slated to go to the Jets in their mock negotiation. They had the Jets paying above and beyond to get him. I would love him on this team. If you look at his time under Brian Flores and Vic Fangio, he was an exceptional player. Then in Josh Boyer and Anthony Weaver, he's had 4 different defensive coordinators in 4 years. That's crazy. Okay, but 24 years old, very, very good player, excellent against the run, still pretty good against coverage. I still think he's a top 5 safety in the NFL. I'm a huge fan of his. I just don't know if the Jets are going to devote that much money to one safety, but I would love him on this team. But if they want to go a little bit more low level, Trevon Moehrig from the Raiders, 25 years old, started 17 games last year, 2 picks. Great at attacking near the line of scrimmage. If you're looking for a run-stopping safety, Moehrig can do it. Now, the Raiders, they got about $90 million in cap space, but Moehrig's going to be coveted in this class. I think he's going to make $15 million a year. Then we go to San Francisco, Talanoa Hufanga, just only played 7 games last year, had wrist and ankle injuries. But when he's healthy, he's an all-pro caliber safety, still hits hard. I think he's going to get a pretty solid deal. Then we go to Justin Reed of the Chiefs. ESPN thinks that he'd be a great fit there. It seems like the only position where they have the Jets sign anybody is safety. But Reed, he's very durable. He puts up 80 or more tackles every year. 28 years old. Not too old. I'm all for a young veteran with some good years left who has a good winning pedigree. So I like the idea of Justin Reed. Cameron Bynum, 26 years old. Vikings got a lot of big free agents, as we've seen, and he's another one. Never Sam Darnold, Aaron Jones. I didn't even mention the 2 of them, plus the other ones that we talked about already. But Bynum's going to be a big decision. He has 8 interceptions in 4 seasons. He's a former cornerback, so he's got the range on the back end that you want. He tackles well, and he's 26 years old. So Bynum would be a really, really exciting one too. Andre Cisco, if you're going a little bit lower, I mentioned him last week. I still like him. Had 2 good years with the Jaguars. Regressed a little bit last season. Didn't have the best coverage. Got benched. But let's be honest, the whole Jacksonville team played like crap last year. So 25 years old, he's still skilled. There's still a chance he can get back on track. And I'm going to give you another name that I didn't last week, and it's Jeremy Chin. Now, he had a big bounce back season for the Commandskins. He was that versatile, every down player. He didn't finish out very well with Carolina. But where Chin stood out this year is his coverage skills became a lot better in Washington than they were in Carolina. Chin signed for only $4 million in 1 year with Washington. He's going to get a lot more. Now, Washington's got a good amount of cap space. I'm sure they're going to try to retain him, but if he shakes loose, that's another player to target. So the point of this is there are a lot of players in the secondary, corner and safety, the Jets can target. So those are spots that you want to go after. And I hope the Jets come out with a corner and a safety because I think you can get legitimate starters at those positions for reasonable amounts of money. Okay, guys, you wanted it. Here we are. Here, let's talk about the kickers, the most important position on the field this side of the long snapper. All right. I didn't do individual slides for this. By the way, unfortunately, for those who didn't see, you guys remember last year when Greg Zuerlein got hurt and I was talking about I wanted Brandon McManus on this team when he was available, when the bogus charges against him had been dropped. Green Bay signed him. He made 95% of his field goals, and he just turned that into a three-year extension in Green Bay. So, unfortunately, he would have been my number one target, but unfortunately, he's no longer an option for the Jets. So, here's what we're looking at. The sad free agent list. So, I got some names here and their field goal percentage from last year. You got Nick Folk, still 40 years old, made 95.5% of his kicks in Tennessee. God bless him. So could it be a folk hero with us once again? Austin Siebert, do I really need to go into this story again? Oh, my God. 90% field goals, went to Washington, got hurt, though, and missed the end of the season. So you got to factor that in. Is he healthy? Eddie Pinheiro, I saw that he was mentioned, Tony and Harlan. We're talking about Easy Eddie, Everyday Eddie. Made 84% of his field goals and was 1 out of 2 for the 50-yard kicks as well. So I do want to mention that because the knock on him is distance. Greg Joseph was with the Jets at the very end of the season, made 80% of his kicks. Then you're starting to get to the bottom. Joey Sly, 78%. Zane Gonzalez was terrible, 71%. Matt Prater played a little bit, went 6 for 6 before he got hurt, but he's 40 years old, and he tore his meniscus. That's why he only had 6 field goal attempts. He got hurt really early on. And Michael Badgley, formerly of the Vikings, the Chargers, he tore his hamstring. He didn't even get a kick in last year. So the point of this is, I'm going to remove that. The point of this is the kicking market is not exactly going to excite you. It might be a situation where the Jets don't even get their kicker. They might draft their kicker. They might get a kicker during preseason. Why not? This happens. You know, how many times in that last week after cuts is there that carousel of kickers? We go around and around, and it's like a game of musical chairs, and whoever gets the last spot is left out in the cold. So I'm not too excited about too many of these free agent kickers. I'm really not. Now, it might come that you go to the draft, and I could give you a couple of names on that. Andres Borregales from Miami. If that name sounds familiar, it's because his brother Jose Borregales was an All-American for the Hurricanes in 2020. And you know what? What the hell? I'm just going to give you a couple. I'm going to give you scouting reports on 4 kickers right now. Okay, that's right. We're breaking down kickers in March. Damn it! Only on New York Sports WickerMedia. So Borregales in 2024 made 18 of 19 kicks. That's almost 95%. So in 4 years kicking, he never missed more than 4 kicks in a single year. He's consistent. He's also 70%, 7 of 10 on kicks from 50 yards and up. All right. Harlan likes the kicker from Michigan. Oh, do you now? You know, I didn't see that one in the I do that, and I wind up getting Jake Moody. Oh, Dominic Zavada? Is that the guy you mean? Yeah. I guess that's what you're talking about. All right, so let's talk about a couple other guys. Ben Sauls from Pittsburgh. So he's a Sauls. Ben Sauls. So he's a lefty kicker. So you got that Sebastian Janikowski thing going on. He's known for being accurate, being consistent. He's been very reliable. He's got strong leg, impressive range. He didn't miss a kick of 40 yards or less over the last 2 years. In 2024, he made 2 57-yard kicks and a 58-yard kick. And the reliability, he's made him one of college football's top kickers. And then you've got Ryan Fitzgerald from Florida State, all this crap, right? So this year he made 13 of 13. He made 5 kicks from 50 yards and up, including a 59-yarder, a personal best. So this guy could kick them long. And 2023, he was 19 to 21. He was 19 to 21. He really improved. From 2020 to 2022, he was only 26 out of 40. That's not going to inspire anybody. But since then, he's been 32 out of 34. I'll take that. So Ryan Fitzgerald's another one. And the other one I've got is Caden Davis from Ole Miss. Very efficient and very accurate. Made 24 of 29, 83%. And he made 4 in 2 straight seasons. He's had 4 made kicks of 50 yards or more. So those are just a couple of kickers. If the Jets don't address kicker early on, I would use one of those 6-round picks I got no problem with drafting a kicker. No problem at all. Hey, the Vikings drafted Will Reichard, and I'd say that worked out pretty well. All right, guys. So I'll tell you what, it is now 7:06 right now. Hope everybody enjoyed that. Hope we have a little bit better of an idea of free agency, what might be out there, what we can target, maybe what we need to stay away from. Get Fitzgerald for a 6-rounder, Billy. We should do it. I think so. I think just reading the scouting reports I've seen on Fitzgerald, I like what I see. So I'll take my chances. So guys, I think it is that time. It is that time once again. And you know what happens every single week about this time. I tell you what I've been doing this week. I head into the labyrinth of Jets knowledge. I bust open the books. I pull open the websites. I dust off the Encyclopedia Britannica. And I, Y2K99, challenge you, the most loyal fans of the most loyal fan base in the National Football League. Just how much do you know about your and my New York Jets? So if you're ready, everybody, let's play Jets Trivia. All right, guys. So tonight's question. So we do around this time of year, we do a lot of draft questions. So I've got another one for you tonight. And the good news is I'm only asking for one answer. Just one answer. So, guys, I'm going to put the 5 minutes on the clock. And let's see what you can do. Let's see what you can just pop those answers in and we will do it. Okay. So the question tonight goes like this. Name the only player the Jets drafted from Arkansas State who played in the NFL. Just in case we have anybody watching from Arkansas, I say a very special hello to you. So the Jets have drafted one player from Arkansas State that made it to the NFL. Who was that? Harlan with a good note. Jets once drafted a guard in round 7, made pro 3 times in 4 years. There you go. I'm sure we've had some good picks in round 14 back when we had that. Yeah, Harlan, it's always a good idea to bring in a second kicker as an undrafted free agent. Yeah, I agree. There's absolutely nothing wrong with ever doing that. Okay, so who is the only player the Jets drafted? Put it this is a player you know. You know the player. If you're like a decent NFL Jets fan or NFL fan, you know the player. Guys, if you haven't hit that thumbs up, we're just, I think, like 2 likes away from hitting our goal tonight. Yeah, 2 likes away. So if you haven't hit the thumbs up, guys, we could spin the wheel. I'll still spin the first round wheel for you tonight. Yeah. For those who haven't seen, we do have a new wheel, the first round pick wheel. So we will do that every week. All right, Tony Alexio goes with Adrian Morrell. Is it Adrian Morrell? It is not. All right. Yeah, Bill, if I'm drafting a 6th round, I'm looking for like a big, ugly run stuffer, something like that. So somebody who can help on special teams. Somebody who can tackle, has some raw skills that you can develop. But yeah, I mean, yeah. I'd say maybe a running back, but Jets have a pretty good running back room. I wouldn't mind getting extra tight end or a safety down there. But the premium positions, yeah, they're not going to be around in the 6th round too much. Let's see. Let's narrow this down for you a little bit. Play defense, defensive player. Arkansas State, I have no idea. Okay. Let's see. Very, very long career in the NFL. Very long. Defense. Did play for the Jets, but did not play his whole career with the Jets. All right, so defense, very long career, drafted by the Jets, played for them, but has not played his whole career with them. He won a number of awards from the I think he's won a couple of awards in the NFL. Antonio Cromartie, no. All right. Billy SBC Magic 8 Ball says Demario Davis. Is it Demario Davis? It's Demario Davis. That's correct. Yeah. Took a few clues. I was about to say he missed the first game of his career last season. That would have kind of given it away that he was a very, very durable, that he's been around a long time and things like that. But yeah, the Jets drafted him. Was the third in the 3rd round back in 2012. He just turned 36 years old this past January, and he's still going strong. God bless him. So yeah, Demario Davis is correct. So Billy, excellent job. I would tell you how I know, but that would be cheating. You cheated, didn't you? But yes, the correct answer is Demario Davis. All right, guys, I'll tell you what we'll do. I will pull the first round wheel up. We'll do one quick spin, and I think we're going to call it a night. And next week's going to be fun. We'll break down what's been going on in free agency because it'll be the first official day that players can sign with new teams. Hopefully we'll have some breaking news over the course of the show, and we can react in real time, which is always a heck of a lot of fun. And hey, stuff keeps happening. I'll stay on the air. I got no problem with that. Maybe we'll get a guest on next week. You never know. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's see here if I can. Share screen. Okay, there we go. Let's do that, and I'm gonna max that. All right, now on this wheel, for those who may not have been here last week, we had the first spin, and on this wheel, we have various players who have been mocked to the Jets with their number 1 pick. We've even got spaces for trade up and trade down. But we have everybody on here from Will Campbell to Will Johnson, from Jalon Walker to James Pierce, from Tyler Warren to Ted McMillan. So who are we going to land on tonight? Well, last week it was Kelvin Banks, the offensive tackle. I don't know if that got the biggest round of enthusiasm from the chat. So I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and spin the wheel. Because the wheel, as we all know, the wheel is never wrong. Never. It has never been wrong. So March 5th, we're still about 6-7 weeks out from the draft, I believe, about 7 weeks out. Who are we going to land on? Who are we going to draft with our number 1? Actually, I got a little idea here. Let's do this. With the 7th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Well, apparently the Jets are going to trade up. All right. I'm going to make a note of that the Jets are going to trade up. And then, I think if we do the trade up option, that's going to be for a quarterback, whether it's Ward or Sanders. So the wheel is telling us that we are going to be trading up. And I'll tell you this, there are a lot of Jet fans who would love that happening, and there are a lot of Jet fans who would hate that. How do I feel? I got to do a little more research on these quarterbacks to really have a feel for them. But I don't know. From everything that I hear, if one of them falls to you, great. But are you really trading 2 firsts, a second, a third or fourth, something like that, and maybe even a player to go up that high? It's a little bit scary. Tony does not want to trade up. I would spin the wheel again to see who we traded up for, but it's like I can't do that and land on an offensive tackle. Do you want me? You know what? Shit, what the hell? Let's do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Because we're not saying where we're trading up to. We're not necessarily trading up to number 1. Maybe we're just going from 7 to 6. So we know we're trading up. So let's find out who Darren Muji has traded up for in 3, 2, 1. And we have traded up to draft Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan. A lot of Jet fans want him. A lot of Jet fans are enamored by him. All right. It was very, very close to Cam Ward, which would have been really, really interesting. But okay. So with our second mock first round pick, we have traded up to draft Mason Graham. All right. Well, I'll be keeping track of this all the way through draft night, and we'll see what winds up happening. All right, everybody. I'm gonna call it a night. I hope everybody has had a lot of fun, and that we've all that you and I have all learned a little bit. And let's see what happens over free agency. If I can do some videos about some news coming up before Wednesday, of course I will do that. I'm going to go over and watch Rangers Capitals. Hopefully the Rangers will win. Everybody have a great night, and I will see you next Wednesday right back here with more content from you know where. The Wicker Chair. Have a good night, everybody.